Asylum Ink presents Hollow. The reports of horror from the streets below were still coming in, as the hospital was one of the last sources of help still standing, though nearly overwhelmed. Fires raged out of control as firefighters began setting fires while laughing hysterically. Children danced naked in the street, brandishing knives and any other weapon that could be found, almost daring anyone with a gun to defend themselves against these former innocents. The very worst of humanity was brought out, it seemed, and while the acts of aggression and terror were numerous, they remained partially contained within a few miles of the city's center. There were those that looked at the reports and saw only the monstrosity of mankind, some blaming politics or terrorists, while others suspected supernatural influence, sparking the atrocities that were happening. A rare few, however, saw these horrors as something more, and with this knowledge were willing to organize and stand against the storm. Some fought fires or tried to calm neighbors, while others ushered the innocent towards shelters. Many died in their heroic attempts, yet many others were saved because of them. While the evil that permeated the city was nothing new as individual acts of terror, cumulatively and with such abandon, what spurred it on and to such heights was something far more callous than anything humanity had words for. Never before had the depths of hell so richly and vigorously consumed so many. Back at the hospital, the full extent of the horror unfolding reached the two detectives, as even the police department became overwhelmed. State police and even the National Guard were called in, but there was no clue as to when they may arrive, or even if they could provide the necessary help fast enough and over such a wide area. The sources of this madness needed to be identified and shut down. As the two detectives and the psychic debated their next course of action, Jacob began to stir. Sensations of dread reverberated over him as he retreated further into the confines of his own mind. Deep within these recesses of his mind, where his final vestiges of security remained, Jacob clung with all his will to his sanity and cried out for his mother's warm embrace. A vast multitude of shapes, cloaked in inky blackness and reeking of decay, began shifting from outward expansion from Jacob's fragile form to implosion, returning to the source of their freedom. Jacob knew with absolute certainty that the encroaching multitude meant to consume him and all he held dear. Terror gripped Jacob as he clung to his legs, pulling tightly inward his mental form, shielding himself as best he could against the blackness that threatened to overtake him. All the poor boy could do was struggle against the darkness, but even glimmers of light became portents of danger, serving only to illuminate what glimpses of inky tentacles Jacob stole, all swirling before the mouth of oblivion that constantly urged the boy to just give in. Had he the courage to be free? Dare he risk oblivion? The possessed were coming for him, and he felt the dead calling out to him as they neared. Sonia felt it too, and the hairs on her neck began standing up. The boy's gift ran unchecked, but when Sonia had peered into Jacob's mind, the boy's power flared. Jacob knew in his heart he was but a key to a doorway, and in fact he felt as every entity brushed past him, some ignoring his frail form, while others reached out, scratching, tearing, looking for even the smallest piece they could take with them. If only he could get a message to his mother, thought the boy. He had called out to her and the other woman that appeared behind him, but no sound had left his lips. Instead, he was suffocated for the act, humiliated and violated from head to toe. Had they heard him? Wondered Jacob. Jacob sobbed as the multitude swirled around him, his last embers of hope burning out quickly in the dark. To be continued. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed this Asylum Ink presentation.